ask about Reiki when I went and I was speaking in churches. And so people were asking me, well, what is this Reiki? You know, usually they couldn't say it. They'd say it starts with an R and it has a K in it. And I would say, do you mean Reiki? And they would say, yes. And I thought, this is interesting. If people in different churches in different areas of the country, and I was getting emails too, are asking me about Reiki, it means that it's beginning to grow. Okay, that's always been true in my ministry. I've always noticed when something is beginning to grow by the questions I get from people in different places. And so I thought, this is something I need to read about. So I did some reading on it so I could answer the emails and answer the questions. And then it just got to be where there were so many questions and so many emails. I thought, I need an article to send to people. And I looked online. I couldn't find a single Christian article on Reiki. I couldn't find any Christian information on Reiki at all. I mean, zilch. I maybe found a reference to it in some ministry with one sentence or something, but I could not find anything substantial on it from a Christian viewpoint. I could only find pro-Reiki websites, and so, or the websites of Reiki healers. So I realized I had to write an article on it, and I did. So I do have an article on my website on Reiki. And what this is, it's very occultic because it's very, there's 3 degrees of healing. And if you're learning to be a Reiki healer, you have to be initiated by somebody who's a 3rd degree Reiki healer. They have to, because only a 3rd degree can initiate somebody. And this is the same thing that happened to Earthside, where the Reiki energy is awakened in you. And then after this point, this is done through a ritual, and after this point, you know, you supposedly learn. Now, I did not learn Reiki. I never did it, so I don't have inside info on it. I have talked to some Christians who used to do Reiki. And then you can, if you want, you can go to the 2nd level or the 2nd degree, and that allows you to do like remote healing. And then if you want to go further, and especially if you want to teach it, then you go to the 3rd degree. So it's very secretive. They don't really share this information. And it's having to do with this invisible force or energy that supposedly they are channeling into a person's body at specific points of the body. So what you have here basically is occult healing. This is occult healing. And a lot of people don't realize that healing is very, very big in the occult and in the New Age. It's a huge, huge thing. And I remember when I was young that, you know, I used to hear now and then, or maybe there was some goofy movie about, you know, a crazy witch doctor. And you know that term witch doctor, which really you don't ever hear anybody use it anymore because I guess it's considered sort of politically incorrect or old-fashioned or something. And it sounds, you know, it sounds like you're trying to, it's a pejorative. So, I mean, I actually don't use it except when I'm explaining this kind of thing. But witch doctors were seen as people who were doing these, you know, rituals that had to do with contact with spirits and with God, calling on gods and everything. I mean, it wasn't medicine. And this is really what we now call shamanism, except now shamanism is glamorized. And so shamanism is now a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And so the term witch doctor isn't used anymore because essentially that's what a shaman is. And that's what occult healing is. It's what shamans do. It's what occult healers do. It's what witches do. It's what New Age psychics who do psychic healing do. I had psychic healing done to me several times. And whenever you have anybody who claims they are channeling some kind of energy into you, even if they call it a healing energy or an energy from God, or they're manipulating energy in you or around you, you have somebody practicing a very evil form of occult healing. I consider it very dangerous. I would, you know, advise anyone never get this kind of healing. It's not really healing anyway. So now, unfortunately, Reiki is now going mainstream, and they're actually allowing nurses and Reiki healers to come into hospitals.
Oh, boy.
And nurses actually started learning Reiki back in the 90s at nursing, when they had like seminars and conferences for nurses. Reiki was imported to the nursing community by a woman who knew another woman. She was a nurse, and she, I don't know why she knew this other woman, if she was involved in theosophy or not, but this other woman was a theosophist who did oh, you know what? No, that's therapeutic touch. Never mind. But I'm glad I mentioned it, because let me say something about therapeutic touch. It is true. It is true. Reiki is being done in hospitals and by some nurses and Reiki practitioners. There's also something very similar, which I should mention so people know about it. It's called therapeutic touch. And therapeutic touch, I always get these two mixed up because they're so similar. But therapeutic touch actually is not touching the person. You don't touch the person in therapeutic touch. In Reiki, you may hold your hands over the person or you may touch them. You may do both. But in therapeutic touch, you don't touch the person. And this came from a woman in Theosophy who taught it to a nurse. Theosophy is an occult organization. And taught it to a nurse who took it to nurses. And therapeutic touch spread in the nursing community, and a lot of nurses became therapeutic touch healers. Some nurses have become Reiki healers. I just noticed recently, and I posted on this on Facebook, that big major hospitals now, because they are wanting patients, are offering them these alternative modalities, including Reiki. And so like Columbia Medical Hospital or Columbia Medical Center, I forgot what it's called, is offering what they call integrative medicine. And when you see the word integrative, that's a big red flag. It means they're combining valid, scientifically based, scientifically tested forms of medicine and healing with spiritual, invalid, unscientific, non-tested forms of quote unquote healing. You're getting you're getting like this combination, or they present it as an equal option to the medical stuff. So they had on the website, they had different things like Reiki. They had Reiki on there, and they had a very kind of benign description of it. That, that didn't make it sound so bad. It said an energy thing that would relax you. Oh. So people aren't really, if they don't research, they're not really going to know what it is. And they had, I wish now that I don't think I would, I don't know that I could bring up the website again, but they had other things they were offering too. And I mean, we're going to see more and more of that, because now with this movement towards, first it was complementary. First it was alternative healing, then it was complementary healing, which used regular medical approaches with the alternatives. And now it's integrative is the kind of new catchword. And so to me, a major hospital that offers something like Reiki should be ashamed of themselves. They should just be ashamed of themselves. This is inexcusable. It is absolutely inexcusable. They might as well just hire psychics to come in and do psychic readings for the patients. I mean, why not? If you're going to have Reiki healers, then bring in the psychics and astrologers, because it's no different. It's absolutely no different. It's the same kind of thing, and perhaps maybe even worse, because you're giving something to patients and they think that there's something of value in it that's going to in some way help them with their illness. Mm-hmm. So, it just makes me angry. I'm very angry about it.
Now, okay, so there's Reiki. What about acupuncture? Because that's kind of in that same kind of vein. Is there any real science to it, or is it just another New Age practice?
Acupuncture really comes from Taoism, and Taoism is an ancient religion. It's really got a lot of facets to it. It's extremely complex because it was like a religious movement, a spiritual movement that sort of, went through centuries and centuries with different teachers and different teachings, and changed over time and had teachers who taught different things. So it's not a monolithic religion, but there are certain views that tend to be part of Taoism consistently. And the Tao is the impersonal source of everything. And yin and yang are forces that seem to be opposite, but actually are complementary because they need each other. And so yin and yang come from the Tao, and yin and yang have to be balanced for health, for happiness, for everything to work well. There has to be a balance. And then you have this force called qi or ki. It's sort of this animating force of the universe that's present everywhere and is present in you. And it is related to the yin and yang. And so acupuncture is the system of treating symptoms based on the belief that the qi that is flowing in your body through channels, invisible channels called meridians, are blocked. And when this qi is blocked, the yin and yang are imbalanced and you have pain or illness. And the way to unblock it is by putting needles at various points of the body that don't necessarily have to do with where you're sick or where you have pain. And this is based on these old charts used, hundreds of years ago in China, when they didn't really know about the body because autopsies were forbidden. So I guess they knew some basic things, but they didn't really know where all the organs were. And so that is why, just to talk about something related, it's not the same, but it's related to the same idea. Reflexology, for example, is belief that the various areas on the bottom of your feet and even on the palm of your hands relate to different organs. And there's also, you can do it on the ear. And so, one part of your foot is for the heart, another part's the liver, another part's the lungs. And so by rubbing these parts or treating these parts of the feet, then you're affecting the organs. And the same is true with, they can use the ear. And I see a lot of this on Facebook. I mean, people go to these pages that, here's how to treat this, and it's really a form of reflexology. There's no science to it. It's totally based on this belief in the qi, and they believe that by, like rubbing these areas, then the qi, will go to the organ that is specified by that area. And acupuncture is also based on the spiritual belief of the qi. And these the meridians don't exist. They're invisible. So, of course, you can't prove they don't exist because you can't prove invisible things don't exist. I could tell you that I'm seeing, 45 little fairies sitting on my desk right now. And you would have a very hard time disproving that.
Right.
You could just say, well, there's no evidence for them, or I don't believe you. But I could say, well, no, I'm seeing 45 fairies here. So this is the subtlety of Satan here. So he has all these things be invisible, like the chakras and the chi and the meridians. It's all invisible. So it's unfalsifiable. But what they started doing, National Institutes of Health started looking into alternative